To look good. So
Good.
this is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it is time for What in the World with Paul Seaburn, his sidekick John DiNallo, and we are live streaming
All
today.
right. Wow, we're live. Where's it? Is it like the Olympics? We don't have to have one of those little I got a message on my screen over here. Okay, I'll just ignore that one.
Ignore
Uh,
this, yeah, ignore the messages.
yeah. The Olympic, I'm sure everyone is going through Olympic withdrawal right now because they ended what 2 days, 3 days ago. I certainly but you could always tell when they were live because they had that little live thing in the corner of the screen. We don't have to do that, fortunately. So, um, although, we're saying that we're live, but who knows?
You're right.
People
You're
can
right.
only guess. People can only guess, folks. That's what I'm
That's
saying.
Keep them guessing. That's one of our other mottos, John. That's right. So, if you're wondering who all we are, if you just tuned in and missed that great intro, I am Paul Seaburn, the host of What in the World, everybody's favorite weird news podcast. Real news, sometimes strange, always funny. That's our motto. The first voice you heard in your ear was Karen Hale, who is our producer, co-host, media mogul at newclevelandradio.net, which is our platform. Uh, we're not like other paranormal or weird news shows where you have to search through hundreds of other weird news shows to find us. We are the only weird news show on Karen's platform, but that doesn't mean she doesn't have other great podcasts. So please visit newclevelandradio.net. Check out how to download us. Visit us on YouTube because we have photos that go along with many of our stories. And then, of course, check out Yes, I Can Coaching with Karen, who is our sponsor and also a great thing to go to, so get some good coaching. So that's voice number one. Voice number two is John DiNallo, our color commentator, sports guy, co-host, all around good guy. How you doing, John?
I'm doing well, Paul and Karen. And even though this is Wednesday and not our normal Tuesday when we are doing our show, we're going to have a great show for everyone. So stay tuned.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, it is Wednesday. We were just discussing this before we came on the air. At the end of, if you listened to the last show, if you wondered what happened at the end, we had a massive outburst of tornadoes in the Northeast Ohio area. All three of us got, excuse me, warnings on our phone to run and hide, which we didn't because we're loyal. We are dedicated podcasters, and we finished our podcast and then ran and hid. As of last count, they said there were 5 tornadoes that hit the Northeast Ohio area on that day, last Tuesday. So not a week ago, Tuesday. One came right through Brecksville, where I live, right almost to close to where Karen lives too, I guess, and not that far from where John lives. So we were right in the heart of it. But thank goodness we're all safe and sound, cleaned up all the debris, and we're ready for a podcast. I know you're tired of listening to all this nonsense. Let's see, get one more. How many more plugs can I get in here? You may have come to us from Mysterious Universe, which is where I am the editor and head writer of all the articles on the mysteriousuniverse.org website. So if you came to us from there, thank you so much for doing that. If you came to us from my website, paulseaburn.com, thank you for linking through there. You probably went there because you were looking for a link to Amazon to get my new book, What Would You Say to a Naked Space Alien? And I'll be putting up a picture of the cover of that. In fact, why don't I do that right now while we're talking about it? There's our logo. And there we go. What would you say to a naked space alien? Clothing optional. That's what we'd say. So if you want to hear some great stories, read some great stories about many of the strange alien stories I've come across as the head writer at mysteriousuniverse.org. That's the place to check them out on Amazon. Okay, let's get started here. There we go. There's the title. There's pictures of all my links and all that stuff. You don't need all that stuff. Just go to paulseaburn.com. Okay, what are we going to talk about today? let's see, on Wednesday. Oh, a rat hotel in England. Not a ratty hotel, but a rat hotel. This was a popular story on Facebook this week. So I've got more information on that. Some strange foods from Major League Baseball parks. This one's for you, John. You've frequented many Major League Baseball parks. So is Karen as well. I think both of you have been to many more parks than I have. So you'll be interested in hearing what you're missing out while you're not there now.
That sounds great, Paul and Karen. That sounds great. Looking forward to hearing about it.
Yeah, especially if you're hungry. Another local story, a miracle in Ohio. Boy, this is a good one. And a strange creature was spotted in Lake Erie. Now, that wasn't John swimming. It was something else. So we'll find out what it is. A dog that's perfect for messy houses. We've got a story about that. A real thoroughbred ice cream from Poland. Oh, this was a popular story on Facebook. Plus, I've got more odd news. I've got trivia. We've got sports. John's got a great weird sport for us. So let's get right to, and of course, at the end of the show, we play everybody's favorite weird news game, Bluff the Co-host. It is the game that's taking the nation by storm. Bluff the Co-host. It won't be long before we knock Wheel of Fortune out of their slot and we get our own show at night.
We will. Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be great. I'd love to do that. Okay.
Sounds great.
John, you can turn the letters. We'll have you turn in the well. We have Karen will be our announcer. John will turn the letters. Yeah,
I don't think I can hold a candle to Vanna White, quite frankly, but that's okay.
Well, that's true. It's good to be honest, John. You're right.
That's right.
All right, let's get out of the hole and into an. James Wannerton is a gentleman from England who has a neurological condition, very strange condition. It's called synesthesia. Synesthesia. What does it do? It causes him to taste words. So when he hears them or he reads them, he gets a taste in his mouth that is related to the word that he is experiencing. So because of that, now he's in his 40s already. He says all of his life he's only gone out with women whose name tastes good in his mouth, which means he's dated girls named Cookie, okay, like this girl right here who's holding a bunch of cookies up, so he could taste cookies in his mouth. Cherry, peaches, and brandy. Brandy, another good one. However, his doctor said no more honeys or candies because he's been putting on weight. So can't go out with candies. Women can also get this condition. And when they have this condition, they tend to go for guys named Barry, Reuben, and of course, Kevin Bacon. So So this guy, James in England, he's had this condition for 20 years. And at one point he says he thought he was actually pregnant because he had a sudden desire to date a girl named Pickles.
Okay.
I know. So I went looking for some good names that would give someone with this condition a pleasant taste in their mouth. John, and everybody out there, you can play along with this. Can you think of a name that is a food that would be pleasant, have a pleasant taste?
Oh,
tough one. I know. How about this one? Basil or basil, if you're from England, like Basil Rathbone.
Okay.
How about, here's a one closer to home. Frank. Okay. Like a hot dog. Bud, beer.
right.
Angus, like a good hamburger.
Mm-hmm.
How about on the girl side, margarita? I've known a margarita, so that would be a nice name. Rosemary, that's always a good one.
Okay.
Great scent. And of course, olive. Olive would be a good one.
Okay.
Now,
you got them all, Paul. You got quite a few.
Yeah, Research is the name of my game, John.
Very impressive. Very impressive.
Actually, wasting time is the name of my game. Looking for on the internet. Okay, so here's some names that you wouldn't want, of names of people you wouldn't want to date if you have this disease. Fanny, self-explanatory. And for those of you in England, I apologize. I know what Fanny means in England. This is for the people in the United States. How about this one? Goober. Now, I thought about this one a lot. What do you think? Would goober be a good taste or a bad taste?
Well, there's also peanuts are called goober peas. So I don't
Goober
know.
peas, sure.
Yeah. So that could somewhat segue to that, Paul, I guess, and Karen. I don't know.
If the guy's name was Goober P, yeah, that'd be the if a girl likes peanuts, but if she has a peanut allergy, she wouldn't want to go out with him.
That's not going to work then.
No.
Of course. And then there's the Jack Lemmon, who was a very good looking guy, had a great sense of humor. But if you don't want a sour taste in your mouth, you wouldn't be able to go out with Jack Lemmon. And finally, I'm sorry, if your name is Butthead, nobody's going. All right. Let's move on to the rat lady. Oh my God, I couldn't believe this. Leanne Bryden is the lady's name. She loves her pet rat so much that she opened her own rat hotel. It's called Arlo's Ratty Hotel because she was concerned about boarding her own rats when she went out on vacation. So she thought other people would have the same problem. So she created a hotel called Arlo's Ratty Hotel. It's in Blackpool, England. Very nice place, Blackpool, England. For people who like her who want to board their rats while they're on vacation. She says Arlo's is a 5-star beach hotel. I think I have a picture of it here. There we go. There's
Yuck.
Yeah, that's a giant rat. That's the beach at Blackpool. Cool. I've been to Blackpool. It's a very cool place to go to. So she says that Arlo's is a 5-star beach hotel, squeaky clean, and even has a free roam area for the rats. It must be popular because there's a line of rats leaving the Motel 6 heading towards Arlo's. So, but I was thinking about this. Now, I've never owned a rat as a pet or as or just as a resident of my house. But do you really care? I mean, don't you think couldn't a rat take care of himself while you're gone on vacation? I personally, I'd leave them in my car because there's plenty of French fries and Cheetos in the back seat. He could live a week at least in my back seat.
As far as I'm concerned, they can all starve to death. So I'm sorry, folks.
All you rat owners out there, send your hate mail to Karen Hale.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Radio.net there. So she says they pamper the rats. Here's a picture of how they pamper the rats. They have all kind of toys in the cages, all different kinds of exercise equipment. I don't know what else. I'm not sure what pampering means when you're a rat. Does that mean you get like little rat massages, by ladies with little tiny fingers? And what kind of happy ending does a rat want? I mean, maybe she at the end she pours hot melted cheese all over his body and rubs it in. That would be a good happy ending for a
Well,
rat.
I'll tell you what, Paul and Karen and audience, this is truly strange. This is one of the strangest stories I've heard in forever.
Absolutely, yeah.
And let me ask you this, Paul. Like, how many residents are in the rat hotel? Do you have a rough number as to how many are residing there or have resided there?
She could handle like a dozen or so. She's this is actually her home. In Blackpool, she's renting out. The Arlo's Rat Hotel is actually a couple of bedrooms in her home.
Okay.
But the rat toys, I was trying to figure out what kind of toys a rat would like to play with because the only rats I know are the ones that you see pictures of in New York. So to me, if this is a New York rat, he might want a rubber squeaky toy in the shape of a piece of pizza, maybe. Or some cigarette butts. You always see them carrying cigarette butts. Maybe little tiny dolls that look like New Yorkers, so they don't feel lonely. I don't know.
Oh
Uh,
boy.
yeah, I know, John. So she says that she gives them expert care, which means she changes their litter every day, and she gives them access to a free roam area. So these are free roaming rats, which if your rat likes to live in a cage when it's at home, and now all of a sudden he goes on vacation, he or she, and they get into this free roaming thing, they're not going to like that when they come home. They're going to be rattling on the bars of the cage, wanting to get out. More free roaming like we got at Arlo's.
Oh boy.
My idea, is if they get upset because you're on vacation, put them in on one of those wheels, that the exercise wheel, and put a little globe in front of it so they think they're on a world trip.
That would be a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah. In
That would
fact,
work. Yeah.
even better, then you take the cage and you put it on a tray, and you put the tray inside the bathtub so that it's floating, so it thinks it's on a world cruise.
Wow.
You come home, your rat's really happy. He's probably mad at your back. You interrupted my world cruise. I obviously spend way too much time thinking about things like this. So we'll move on to the next story. It's just, Karen, I think you commented on this one. Google Labs has a spinoff. It's called Arcturix and Skip. I don't know where they came up with this name, but it's a lab, and they've developed a product for people who get tired when they're on hikes. Let's see. I think I have a picture of it here. Lost my arrow from my mouse there. With the rat ate the mouse. Oh, there she is. There's our lady. Here are the rats there. Yeah. She's got rats on her shoulders, which Karen is obviously grossed out at. So
Yeah, I am.
she is. I'll leave it up here for a minute more, and then we'll move on to the next picture. Okay, so this company has made something for people who get tired on hikes called the MoGo pant. MoGo. MoGo is short for mountain goat. So what these pants are, they have these attachments on your knee. They look kind of like a modified knee brace on your pants with a dial in the middle. And what they do is there's an electric motor in that device that they say will boost a hiker's legs when they're walking uphill and absorb the impact when they're walking downhill. Now, I'm looking at these. I think a better name for these booster pants would be relaxed fitness jeans, because it's taking some of the exercise out of hiking and making your pants responsible for them. Now, John, I know John was about to run out and buy them, but before you do, $5,000 for each pair of pants. So
Oh my God.
Yeah, that makes it prohibitive for me, obviously. Or a net for that matter.
Besides the fact that you don't go hiking on trails like this, but not needless to say. So if you want a cheaper alternative, John, for half of that, $2,500, I'll walk behind you with a cattle prod and I'll poke you.
Hey, that doesn't sound like a good idea either, though, Paul.
No, okay. Everybody has their price, and I know I'll find it. So
okay, all right.
Now, if you're a fan of the stop action cartoons animation, Wallace and Gromit, you'll remember that Wallace and Gromit came up with this idea a long time ago in 1993 in an episode called The Wrong Trousers. And I have a photo of Wallace in the wrong trousers that is a hilarious episode. Karen, you're familiar with Wallace and Gromit, aren't you?
Yes, I am. My
John,
wife watched them.
Yeah. John, how about you?
No, I'm going to say no. Not really.
Oh, John, you need to watch them. They're hilarious. They're absolutely the funniest thing to come out of England since Benny Hill. And I know you were a big fan of Benny Hill.
I was a big fan of Benny Hill, and still am, as a matter of fact. Yes, that was quite a show.
Still are. Does Annette know about this? Okay.
Oh yeah, yes, she does.
So the pant batteries, the batteries are rechargeable and they last up to 3 hours. Now, I'm thinking, what happens if only one of the legs batteries runs out of power and the other one's still going. Do you end up running around in circles because only one leg is working? It doesn't seem like a good idea to
We have
me.
to find out about that, Paul.
I know, yeah, we need to do it. We need to find out from the manufacturer. And it says they're supposed to make you feel 30 pounds lighter because you can walk so much faster. You're lighter on your feet, but they still look the same. So you could be built like an Olympic weightlifter, and but you're walking like an Olympic weightlifter on speed. You know, you're tripping down up and down the hiking trail. Uh, so they automatically adjust the amount of assistance based on real-time monitoring of your leg movement. So there's artificial intelligence built into these pants to figure out the terrain and how fast you might want to go. And then you can also modify it on demand. So, you know, if you know that you're way out in the woods and Wheel of Fortune is on pretty soon, you can crank up the speed and it'll get you home in time to watch Vanna and whoever the new host is, Ryan Seacrest, I
Yes.
think. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm on a Wheel of Fortune kick here today for some reason. Okay. All right. The next story. This one, this is a cool museum. I'm gonna have to visit this place. It's in St. Louis. It's called the City Museum in St. Louis, Missouri. They just broke the Guinness World Record for not that, but the world's longest shoelace. World's longest shoelace. They created a shoelace measuring 2,729 feet long, which is more than half a mile. 2,729 feet plus like about a half an inch at either end for those little plastic things to make it officially a shoelace. So they used an old antique shoelace machine that they had at the museum, and they got the right kind of thread. So it's actually a usable shoelace, although it's a half a mile long. But believe it or not, Charles Barkley was interested. He wanted to order 2 of them and give them to Shaquille O'Neal so that he could then tie together and make them trip because they don't like it. But you got to be a sports fan to get that joke there.
Yep.
No, I got it, Paul. It's good.
Yeah, it took them 24 hours of weaving on this antique machine to weave the entire shoelace, which it wouldn't have taken them so long but people were coming up and looking at it and they kept tripping over the shoelaces. So here's why I'd like to go to this museum. They not only are they a museum of St. Louis history, but they also like to set Guinness World Record, and they currently own not only the longest shoelace record, but they also have the world's longest pencil. They have the world's longest seesaw, the world's largest tennis racket, and they were home up until recently of the largest gathering of people with underwear on their heads. We talked about that on the show. I don't know. Do you remember
I
that?
remember that segment, Paul. Yes, I do. And Karen, yes, I do.
You know what happened? That show, America's Got Talent, this guy, somebody came on the show and decided to break the record. So they gave underwear to everybody in the theater at America's Got Talent, including Simon Cowell and the rest of the hosts. And they all put underwear on their head and they broke the record that was previously held by the museum. Now, I don't think that's fair. You know, that was kind of a setup using America's Got Talent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
I'd say. Mhm.
Yeah. So, and by the way, if you want to set that record, there's a special category for fraternities hazing pledges and making them wear their underwear on their head. Did we ever have to do that, John? Do you remember? Did we?
I'm gonna disclose the fact that to my knowledge, we never did in the time that I was there. So
So it was just me, huh?
I think so. Hate to inform you of that one, Paul. Not exactly sure what happened to you, but no, that's my thought. That's my recollection, I should say.
Oh man, boy, again. Okay. All right. So for all you dog lovers out there, in fact, for all you Roomba lovers out there, Karen, the Dynamic Leg System Lab in Genoa, Italy, has developed Vero, Vero, which is a vacuum-equipped robotic dog designed to look for dirt and cigarette butts and little pieces of paper and anything, hair and anything else that's on your floor and suck it up on virtually any kind of surface, grass, pavement, rugs, linoleum, whatever you've got in your home, tile. So you can use it outside, you can use it inside. Sucks up everything. It's also the first dog that's afraid of itself, because most dogs are afraid of vacuum cleaners, and this dog is a vacuum cleaner. So the poor thing, he's artificial intelligence is on therapy right now.
There you go.
Karen, this is the next generation of Roomba. This is the perfect thing. What do you think? Would you replace your Roomba with that?
I think he's a little bit too big for my townhome. So I'm going to have to say no.
You'd probably have to lift the bed up to let him get under it too. I was just thinking.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, the legs look like they bend. So, but I don't know. If he can get under the bed. He would chase the squirrels out of your yard. I know that would work great.
Yeah, that'd be very good. Yeah.
Unless he sucks them up, and then you got to get them out of that container. Maybe that's not such a good idea. The best part I wish I had a video of this. The best part is when he's done and he's got to empty out the container. He finds a wastebasket and he lifts his rear leg and shoots everything out into the wastebasket.
That would be a sight to behold. That would be a sight to see, that's for sure.
I'd pay money to see that. I know. I'd pay money to see that. Of course, there's a lot of things I'd pay money for. Good thing I don't have any money. What this is going to do, though, if you think about it, it's going to put all those prisoners out of work. The ones you see along the side of the road in the orange suits picking up trash. Don't need that anymore. Now you've got this Vero to go out there and it can go all by itself for hours and hours and hours picking up trash. Those poor guys, they'll be back in prison wearing striped suits, busting up rocks or whatever you do for community service if there's no trash to pick up. I don't know. I might never find out. Okay, moving on to Scotland. Una Cameron is the lady's name. She's from St. Boswell, Scotland. She just broke the Guinness World Record for sheep shearing when she sheared 517 sheep in 9 hours.
Wow.
17 sheep in 9 hours. Here's a picture of her. Look at the arms on her. She has got some massive arms from holding those sheep and shaving all that, or shearing all the wool off of them. She also, another record was set at this event, by the way, when the announcer managed to call every single sheep shearing without once getting tongue-tied. And, sheep shearing is part of the world record, another Guinness World Record, which is the world's most difficult tongue twister. Which you didn't know.
Boy.
According to the Guinness Book of World Records, the worst tongue twister is, and I'm going to say it real slowly, the sixth sheep's sick. Very famous tongue twister. I can't say it any faster than that. Also, coming in at second, Silly Sally swiftly shooed 7 silly sheep. The 7 silly sheep Silly Sally shooed shilly-shallied south. These sheep shouldn't sleep in a shack. Sheep should sleep in a shed. Better on that one.
That was well done, Paul. That was well done.
So thank you. Thank you, John. That's my talent for today. We'll be back next week with another episode. Una is 51 years old. She's been shearing sheep for 28 years. That's why her big. Yeah. She's a professional sheep shearer. By the way, if you're interested in getting into the business, she charges $4 a sheep, which to me doesn't seem like a whole lot. $4 a sheep. She made $1,000 for shearing 500 sheep in 9 hours. Maybe that's good, but I think she was exhausted by the end.
I would think so, and I would charge a lot more.
Yeah, for sure. This should be in the Olympics, though, if you think about it. This would be better than breakdancing, certainly. Better than synchronized, the gymnastics where they wave the ribbons around. I forget what artistic gymnastic. John, I'm sorry if that's your favorite sport. I don't
No, it's
mean to-
not, Paul and Karen. Don't worry about that. That's okay. That's all right. No offense taken. No offense taken at all.
But I think to make it an even better sport, they should add some things to it. Like, for example, they should make the contestant run down the sheep like in a rodeo. They let the sheep out in a ring, and then they have to chase them and grab them, and then shear them. Or even better, put them in a pool. So they got the sheep swimming, and the wool's all wet, and they got to swim over there and shave all that wet wool off. Of course, then the wool would shrink, but that's a different problem. Or the sheep.
Oh.
Here's a question: do sheep that get wet shrink? We need to research this. This is
the hair is going to curl more, so it's going to tighten up, but it doesn't really shrink.
Doesn't shrink.
Nope.
Wow. This is kind of like the famous Seinfeld question about cows. If they're covered in leather, why aren't they banging on the door every time it's raining? To let me in. I got leather on. It's going to ruin my skin.
Oh.
Anyway, I give credit to Jerry Seinfeld for that one. Okay, just in time for the NFL season. By the way, the Cleveland Browns lost their first opening preseason game. This week is a weird thing, John. What is it? It's like they're doing a scrimmage against the Minnesota Vikings. Is that?
Well, yeah, it's a joint practice. It's several days of joint practice that I believe ends in a scrimmage at the very end, and then they're going to play the Vikings on the second preseason game on Saturday afternoon at 4:25 at Brown Stadium.
Oh, really? Well, speaking of joint scrimmage, the joint practice, the marijuana shops are open in Ohio now. So
kind of a play on words, I see, Paul and Karen.
That's good.
I'm having a flashback. Okay, let's see if I can get my voice back here. So that's what I get for doing jokes like that. Just in time for the NFL season. Concession stands at State Farm Stadium, which is the home of the Giants. State Farm Stadium, home of who?
I got a brain lock on this, Paul and Karen. I can't think right now.
Well, that's okay. I just need another drink of water. State Farm Stadium is the home of the Arizona Cardinals.
Okay.
I guess in Phoenix with that, I would imagine.
Well, Glendale, technically, I believe, which is a suburb of Phoenix. Glendale, Arizona.
Glendale. All right. Well, they unveiled a new thing to eat at the stadium this week. It is called the $15 cotton candy burrito. Yes, it's a burrito made with containing cotton candy flavored ice cream, Fruity Pebbles, Fruit Loops, marshmallows, Skittles, M&M minis, gummy bears, and sprinkled, wrapped in even more cotton candy, blue in this case, cotton candy, so that it looks like a burrito, all for $15. Look good to you, John?
I don't know, boy. I tell you what, that's a lot of sugar packed into that product there. I don't know. Wow.
Well, I'll tell you what, the stadium obviously agrees because they're already the stadium first aid stations are also equipped with insulin and Orajel for anybody.
It's a good idea. Wow.
Any toothaches or insulin highs off of that. 4 out of 5 dentists surveyed are now advertising at that stadium. So I would imagine.
Oh my God.
So John and Karen, both of you've been to many stadiums. Would you classify this as the worst food you've ever seen at a stadium, or have you seen something that would be even worse to eat than cotton candy burrito?
Let me offer this if I can, Paul and Karen. I would think that's probably the least appetizing type food that I've ever seen at a stadium, for sure.
Every kid is going to want one.
Oh, the kids, you sure? Oh, yeah, kids would love it, of course, Karen. But no, uh,
I found a couple that would come close, maybe for adults. Kauffman Stadium, which is in Kansas City. Now, this is the Kansas City Royals. The baseball team plays there. They have something which they call the barbecue Reese's sandwich.
Oh,
It is. Karen is totally
oh, I'm
grossed out.
sick.
It is a pulled pork sandwich topped with barbecue sauce, bacon bits, and Reese's peanut butter cups broken into pieces. John, appeal to you?
no, it doesn't. I mean, I love Reese's peanut butter cups, and I like pulled pork, but I think it's just that's a bad combination, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. Well, let's try this one. Pittsburgh. Oh, Pittsburgh, it's going to be bad. The PNC Park, home of the Pittsburgh Pirates, has something called the Pittsburgh Cone. The Pittsburgh Cone it's a waffle cone, like an ice cream cone, contains kielbasa, pierogies, Swiss cheese, sauerkraut, and Russian dressing in a giant waffle cone. How's that one sound? Is that any better than
No, I'm going to say, in fact, I don't. I think it's worse actually. I think it's less appetizing than the previous sandwich you showed there with the Reese's peanut butter cups, Paul.
so we're going downhill? Is that what you're
It's going
saying?
downhill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
Okay, all
impressed
right.
at all. Not at all.
Let's see what you think of this one. Also from PNC Park in Pittsburgh, the Berg Katsu. Now, before I put it up here, Katsu is panko and crust chicken. That's what it's called, the Japanese form. Panko and crusted chicken. So it's like fried chicken. Uh, so this is the burger katsu, which is a panko encrusted chicken covered with hoisin sauce and topped with mini pierogies on what looks like an Italian hoagie. So you got mini pierogies, uh, fried chicken, and hoisin sauce. How about that?
Actually, to me, that looks like something I would try. I mean, again, I don't know how it ends up in a combination like that, but I like panko chicken, and I also, do enjoy pierogies, of course. But I would be game for this. I would say of the three that you've shown, this is probably the most appealing, or the four that you've shown. This is probably the most appealing.
Okay, okay. Would you have a particular choice for the pierogies? Would you want potato, cheese?
Oh, I prefer potato and cheese. Potato and cheese is good.
Okay. All right. Now I can't believe that neither one of you, since you've both been to Progressive Field, did not mention the one of the tasty treats at Progressive Field where the Guardians play. It's called the barbecue mac and cheese cone. This is from Cleveland. It's a large waffle cone, also stuffed with creamy mac and cheese and pulled pork, topped with coleslaw and barbecue sauce. Have either one of you tried that at Progressive Field?
I have not.
Seen it.
But I'll
No.
tell you what, though, this Paul and Karen, in audience, I think this cone. Next time I'm at Progressive Field, I'll try to look this up. I think I would give this a try. Actually, I would give that a try.
Okay, all right, sounds good. John would give it a try. So while we're talking about Cleveland, a small alligator, believe it or not, was spotted in Lake Erie recently, just off the coast of the coast of Erie, Pennsylvania. Authorities were warning people, especially these people that live in Pennsylvania, that you can't scare alligators away by wading in the water while wearing Crocs. That does not work.
Good to
But
know, Paul. That's good to know.
yeah, they think it was somebody's pet. That's what they said. Well, of course it's somebody's pet because I mean nobody's raising alligators in Cleveland or Pennsylvania because you can't make kielbasa out of alligator. At least the Clevelanders would eat, I don't think. But I think this is proof that the alligators in Florida prefer Cedar Point over Disney World, and they're heading up here to go to our amusement park rather than the world famous one down there, or maybe it prefers our clean, fresh Lake Erie perch over the fish in the waters of Florida that are full of cocaine. I don't know.
Or red tide for that matter.
Yeah, yeah. So this is a real thing. So they're looking to see if there's any more alligators in Lake Erie. So keep your eyes open if you're down there. Okay. The Miracle of Ohio is the next one. Parishioners at an 18th century, oh, this is in Spain, I'm sorry. Parishioners at an 18th century church in the Spanish town of Soria are upset because their church was being restored, and one of the statues, they had statues of angels that they sent out to get painted, and when they came back, the angels looked like flying monkeys. Here's a picture of one here. So the people are they're just livid. They're not only are they livid, but they're scared. Now they've got flying monkeys in church, and someone swears in the collection basket they found a broom. So they don't know if if this is a mistake or if something has taken over their church. So they've got the bell choir playing "Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead." Hopefully, maybe they'll scare the.
That's
Oh
a
my
good
God.
idea. Yeah.
Wow.
Now we love our statues. We can't. John and I are Catholic. We love our statues. Every old church has statues in them. And when we were growing up, I know you go to church. There were all these scary statues there, and that's how they used to scare us into being quiet in church. So I think they should bring some of them back. I don't know about this one. This is kind of scary, but and I'm not sure which angel that is. But so also the statues are a good source of miracles, and this one definitely happened at St. John the Baptist Church in Canton, Ohio, right down by the Hall of Fame. On last Friday, a lady claimed that she saw a miracle when the International Pilgrim Virgin statue of Our Lady of Fatima blinked. And we have a photo of it, a before and after of the statue, before with her eyes open and after with her eyes closed. Now, of course, it's magnified quite a bit, but John, I don't know, does that look like that statue's winking at you?
It's too hard to tell, Paul, quite honestly. I mean, yeah, it's just too difficult to tell.
I think to me, there were a bunch of people there and she pointed that out to them and they're all taking pictures and flashing. And I think that, the statue just got tired of all those lights in her eyes.
Wow.
But she said, I know it was a miracle. I'd been here all morning watching it. And she said, you can see her lashes are down. So the statue has eyelashes, which is kind of interesting. They contacted Pope Francis. Pope Francis had no comment, but Canton is under the Cleveland diocese. So they contacted Cleveland Bishop Edward Malesic, and Bishop Malesic said that keep that statue around just in case the Guardians go into another slump. We need all the miracles we can get. All right. Also in Northeast Ohio, for my Facebook friends, I posted this for Northeast Ohio. Lawson stores. Remember, we grew up with Lawson stores on just about every corner. There was a deli in Cleveland and in Ohio. The chain still exists in Japan, and they just rolled out a new line of low-fat, low-calorie fried chicken. There's a picture of a Lawson store in Japan. The low-fat, low-calorie fried chicken in like a shrink wrap packet. There's a picture of the shrink wrap package. They said it's actually moist, tasty, and low in calories and fat. Looks okay. I don't think if Lawson's were still in Cleveland, I don't think it would be low in calories and fat, because the first thing we would do is buy some onion dip, and because Lawson made great onion. And we
That is true. That Paul, you're 100% right on that.
Yeah, and then get a gallon of orange juice, big O, and down the orange juice, wash it down with orange juice. We would roll out of the place like roll on Big O. I couldn't believe how many of my Northeast Ohio friends commented on this. Everybody remembers the Lawson song from when we were growing up. Roll on Big O, get that juice truck to Lawson in 40 hours. My buddy Ron, friend of the show, said that Lawson's is also in Thailand. So if you want to go visit a Lawson, you can visit them in Thailand as well as in Japan. And Linda, not the Linda down in Texas or we got Lindas all over the place, but there's a Linda in Northeast Ohio who said that if you like the Lawson's chip dip, you can still get it at Circle K gas stations in Cleveland. How about that? So,
Wow. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, one more story here. We a bunch of food stories this week, food and animal. This combines both of them. Dairies in Poland are testing a new and healthy alternative to regular cow's milk. Regular cow's milk ice cream. I'm sorry, ice cream. This ice cream is made from, get ready for this, horse milk. Scientists say that the milk from horses actually strengthens your immune system and causes fewer allergies than cow's milk. John, does that appeal to you?
No, it doesn't, because just the idea behind it. I mean, scientifically, obviously, it's a benefit according to what these scientists are saying, right? However, just knowing that it's the milk that I'm going to be drinking or having is from a horse, it just doesn't do it for me. Sorry.
Oh, I'd try it. But they say that if you get it in a shake, you have to make sure you stir up your shake.
Oh,
Where's the horn at, Paul? Where's the horn? Thank you. Thank you.
John, this ice cream tastes better when it's really cold.
Oh, do you have a third one? Do you have a third line for us?
Hey, if you're lactose intolerant, this ice cream won't give you the trouts.
Oh no.
Now, this was so popular on Facebook. We got fans from all over the place. My buddy Ray said eating that ice cream is a nightmare.
Oh.
And Jay, who I almost had dinner with last week before we were canceled by the tornado, said, "Quit horsing around. This story is bucked up." Daryl, my buddy down in Texas, said, "I say nay to horse ice cream."
Okay, that's a good one. Okay.
So I was thinking, I like moose track ice cream, but I don't think I would go for horse track or racetrack. I'm not
I don't
sure.
think I would either, Paul. No, I don't think I would either.
But believe it or not, I was counting on John saying I don't believe that there is such a thing as horse milk. Here it is. There's a bottle of horse milk from Poland, and they have a Clydesdale that I guess to appeal to beer drinkers as well. A giant Clydesdale. Well, I wouldn't milk a Clydesdale. They scare me to begin with, those giant horses. I'd go for a pony or a miniature horse, but I'd stay away from a female Clydesdale. I value my teeth, and those unlike cows, horses have shoes on, metal shoes. So, okay, we better.
Paul, I think you should quit while you're ahead right now.
I'm going to quit while I'm ahead and go right to What in the World of Sports with John DiNallo. There we go. All right. So every week I ask my buddy John, we've known each other since college. The man knows more about sports than anybody I know. I ask him every week, John, find us a weird sport that fits in the theme of real sport, sometimes strange, always funny, perfect kind of sport for What in the World. Every week, John manages to find another sport that we've never heard of, one that we probably don't want to play. I think this week might be one of them. So, John, why don't you introduce your sport? I think I've got your photos all lined up for you.
It sounds great, Paul. Thanks for the introduction. So, all right, audience, our sport this week has a mess of names to go along with the messy field that it is played on. Now, you can call it swamp football, swamp soccer, or suopakupalo in the Finnish language, but they all refer to a strange form of association football or soccer that is played in swamps or bogs. Let me explain. The sport originated in Finland, where it was used as a strenuous exercise for athletes and soldiers alike, due to the strength that's required for someone to move effectively through a bog.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
So that's that was the genesis of it, if you will, or the motivation behind it as to why they would be, again, trying to do this activity in a bog or in a swamp. Now,
Just
the
just looking at all the
rules.
mud, yeah. Looking at all the mud on these guys, you're going to get exercise taking a shower afterwards
Oh,
too.
no
Yeah.
kidding. If nothing else. So anyway, so the rules of soccer, of traditional soccer, are modified significantly to suit the challenges of swamp football or soccer. First off, the playing field is only 30 by 60 meters.
Oh,
Each team has 6 players on the field, a goalkeeper, and 5 field players. The players can be substituted for as often as need be. The game is played in 2 halves of either 12 or 13 minutes each, and that's determined before they start the match.
I want to point out we're looking at some photos of people playing swamp soccer, and they are up to well above their ankles in mud. So when John says, it's exercise moving through this mud, he's right. Imagine yourself just trying to walk with your ankle deep in mud.
Oh, yeah, sure. Very
Or deep.
difficult.
Yeah.
Very difficult. Now, corner kicks, penalties, and throw-ins are made by dropping the ball onto a chosen foot. So the participants have to choose what foot they're going to be using in those kind of things. There is no offside rule, and the penalty area is 5 meters deep, but the goalkeeper is only allowed to hold the ball in a 3 meter radius from the actual goal. Now, if a championship match ends in a tie, a penalty shootout occurs with 3 shots per team. If there is still a tie after 3 shots, the match is then settled by sudden death. Now, swamp football is especially popular in the Kainuu region of Finland. The Swamp Football World Championship is held annually in the city of Salmi in Kainuu, and this sport was the brainchild of a gentleman named Jyrki Vanenen, and his nickname is the Swamp Baron. Believe it or not, there are over 300 swamp football teams around the world,
including women. This photo here shows women. The past couple of photos have shown women.
That is right. That is right.
I don't
Now,
know. It looks like they might be playing against men, but
hard to determine there. It really is.
needless to
I'm
say,
just
there
saying,
is.
I'm just making that as a general statement. Please understand. No offenses intended in that my last comment. Now, World Championship is of course held in Finland, and it's annually, usually in the middle of June, and then the World Cup is held in Scotland annually, usually on the last weekend of June. Karen, this is for you. The officially recognized global organization for swamp football is Swamp Soccer UK Limited, based in Scotland. Its mission is to introduce the sport to other countries, primarily by organizing the Swamp Soccer World Cup. From 2011 to 2015, official tournaments were launched in China, Turkey, and India. Now, swamp football sounds like a great sport for rainy days when the field is too wet for regular soccer. But don't get bogged down in the rules. Just go out and have some messy fun.
Oh, these
good.
guys cleaned up real well.
I was gonna say, yeah, these guys were probably bogged down. We're looking at a photo of the winners of a tournament of swamp soccer, and they look pretty clean. So
Yep.
I think
I
it's
get-
going to be after. Yeah, I'm sure it's got to be after the match.
I wonder how long it took them to get all that mud out of all the places that mud could have gotten into.
Oh, no kidding.
They
These-
say a mud bath is good for you.
No kidding, Karen. This is doubly or triply good because you get exercise, you get a mud bath, you get clean and squeaky clean in the shower, and you get a trophy too. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Would this be a good Olympic sport? Do you think?
I don't
Eh,
know. I think it would take some time for people to really understand it, I guess, and appreciate it. So I'm going to say I don't think it's on the horizon, Karen and Paul,
I wonder
the term.
which country, other than Finland, of course, that invented it, would be good at it. That's what I was wondering. Well, no, that we don't want to upset any a whole country by with this show. So I think great sport, John. By the way, great sport,
Thanks.
swamp soccer. I was thinking when John originally proposed it that I had never heard of this sport, and then I was remembering back to when we were in college, and John and I were in a fraternity together, and we always used to get challenged by other fraternities to participate in weird sports, usually after they had imbibed in a keg or two. And I don't know if you remember this, John, but one of the other fraternities challenged us to swamp football. Do you remember
No,
that?
I don't, Paul. No, I've got a brain lock on this one too. I'm sorry.
Well,
No.
it was the usual thing. They challenged us this way. They called it swamp soccer. So, soccer was nowhere near as popular as it is today. So we figured, oh yeah, we can beat them at soccer because they're probably just as bad at it as we are, not realizing that it was going to be played on a muddy field. When we saw the muddy field, we were going to play anyway. But then we noticed that they brought in some ringers, some players who were well suited for playing in mud. And that would be this team of members right here, which is a group of pigs wearing uniforms, pushing a soccer ball around, and they'd be much better in the mud than we would be.
Yep.
Now that you show that photo, Paul, it does come back to me. I do remember. I remember specifically. Yes, I do. Thank you.
So they actually chased us away. They had the pigs chasing us, and John managed to escape, but unfortunately, I got stuck in the mud over here.
Oh, wow.
Upside down in the mud. So I'm not going to leave that picture too up because it may be a little too provocative for YouTube, but or for but if in case anybody wants to know, no, that's not me and that's not my butt crack. But
Good enough,
now
Paul.
but that's a little bit of incentive for everybody to go to YouTube and take a look at the photo. And on that note, we are done with What in the World of Sports. Thank you, John, for that great sport. Swamp
You're
soccer,
welcome, Paul and Karen and audience. It's a lot of fun to do it.
super strange sport for us. So, speaking of super strange, we have reached the end of the regular portion of What in the World, which means it's time for Bluff the Co-host, everybody's favorite weird news game. Rules are simple. I have 3 stories similar to the ones we've been talking about all afternoon. One big difference, those were real. Bluff the co-host, they may be real, they may be a bluff. It's up to John, Karen, and those of you playing at home to decide real or bluff. Wagering is allowed, so place your bets. John and Karen, hands on the buzzer. Let's get right to story number 1. Nicotine gum is a popular way to quit smoking. But if you don't like chewing gum, a cigarette company in Brazil has teamed up with a hydroponics company to cross a tomato plant with a tobacco plant and make tomatoes with the same nicotine kick as the gum or cigarette. The tomacos can be eaten whole, sliced to put on a burger, or sun-dried and infused in olive oil. The tomacos provide just enough nicotine to satisfy a smoker's cravings, but doctors warn that eating too many of them can cause GERD or other gastric problems. The tomacos won't be coming to the U.S. until grocery stores can figure out how to restrict people under 21 from buying them illegally. Okay, so a company, a farming conglomerate in Brazil has crossed tomato plant with tobacco plants to make the tobacco for people who want to quit smoking. Real or bluff? Karen, we'll start with you.
Well, I don't know anybody from Brazil, but I would hope it's not real because it would not be good for you. And I only like things that are good for me.
Okay, all right. So despite tomatoes kind of being good for you, tomatoes would not be. So
No.
Karen says it's a bluff. John, how about you?
Well, I think that this is such a strange story that it could be true. And I'm going to say that it is true.
Wow. Okay. So John says it's a real story. Karen says it's a bluff. Uh, I, before I tell you, reveal the answer, I'll wait for some of the people in the audience may recognize this story, and I'll tell you why in a second. And we're going to give John a half a point for it is a bluff, but it came from a real story on The Simpsons. So it was a so technically it's a bluff, which means Karen gets a point.
I get
We'll
the
give
point.
John a half a point because it was a real story on The Simpsons. How's that?
Okay.
That's fair.
Okay.
So we'll see if any of our listeners knew it from The Simpsons. Okay, so the score is 1-1/2 to a half. Let's get right to story number 2. If you like gum, another gum story here. If you like gum and crunchy chocolate bars and wish someone would combine them like peanut butter cups, a candy company in Japan has heard your call. Its new product is called the Crunky, and it's made with real cacao, puffed rice, and gum to give you a crunchy chocolate chew that taste testers say tastes good and chocolatey, and the crunch lasts for about 5 minutes. An 8-pack is only $1 in Japan, and the wrappers have lines on them so you can fold them into tiny origami birds while you're chewing. Crunky's crunchy chocolate gum is popular in Japan, and they're expecting it to be coming to specialty candy stores in the United States soon. Okay, Crunky gum, a cross between cocoa, what did I say? Rice Krispies and chocolate. Real or bluff? Oh, and gum. Real or bluff? John, we'll go with you.
Well, I think this is plausible. I think someone could come up with this. So I'm going to say it's real also.
Would you try it?
Yeah, I think I would.
Okay. Karen, how about you?
It's a possibility, so I'll say yes. Yeah, good flavors.
Good flavors and crunchy. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say congratulations to both of you. That is a true story.
Okay.
Crunky gum, yeah. Coming to a store soon. All right. So that means the score is 2 to 1.5 if I do my math correctly. But points are doubled in round number 3. So we'll figure out who won. Let's get right to it. A teacher in California went to school early to get ready for the new school year and was shocked when she opened the door and found a young black bear staring back at her. The teacher was about to scream when she realized that this might be a really smart young bear. After all, it was in school, and even more interesting, the teacher's name is Miss Salmon. Sure, this sounds fishy, but Miss Salmon knows a bit about bears because her husband sells bear spray. So she called him up. He came, he stuck his head through the window and sprayed into the classroom until the bear ran out and back into the woods. If Miss Salmon needs more proof that this was a smart bear, he also ate all of the homework in the room. Okay. The bear that broke into a classroom run by a teacher named Miss Salmon. Real or bluff? Karen, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm going to say it's real, but I don't think he ate the homework.
Okay. All right. We'll give you that one. All right. So Karen says it's real. John, how about you?
I'm going to say it's a bluff because it's too coincidental. Mrs. Salmon with the bear and the homework piece of it as well. So I'm going to say it's a bluff.
Okay. John can't believe it. He says it's a bluff. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say 3 in a row. Karen is the winner this week. That is a real story.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh, Karen, congratulations.
Thank you.
man.
I didn't study either.
Yeah. Well,
That's good. That just shows how good you are, Karen. I mean, really.
that's right. That's right. She was chewing some of that tobacco tomatoes.
Yeah, I
don't-
was. Yeah.
All right. So score 3 to 1.5. That means Karen is our winner, John. And that also means that John will be studying hard this week to
Yes,
get
he
ready.
will.
I definitely will be. Yes, I
Yeah.
will.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that means we've reached the end of another episode of What in the World. I want to thank Karen Hale, our co-host, producer, media mogul at newclevelandradio.net. Thank you, Karen, for everything you do for us, for everything you do for all the podcasts at newclevelandradio.net. Also, for all the people who have had the benefit of your coaching experience at Yes I Can Coaching with Karen. So go to newclevelandradio.net, find out about all those things, get the links to all that good stuff. It will be well worth your time. Then I'd like to thank my old buddy, John DiNallo, our color commentator, sports guy, trivia guy, all around good guy. Thanks, John, for everything you do for the show.
Oh, you're more than welcome, Paul and Karen and audience. It's always a lot of fun every week. So yeah, looking forward to our next show.
Yeah, hopefully
Very
John's
good.
got his Guardians hat on, so hopefully we'll see some good Guardians game this week. And as always, we want to thank all of our listeners. You're the reason why we do this show every week. We hope you have as much fun listening as we do putting it on. Contact me on Facebook. You just put my name in there. Go to paulseaburn.com. You can send me messages there. You can send messages to Karen as well. We love hearing from you. We love the feedback. I post many jokes on Facebook. So if you've got some feedback, people like Don and Ray, you get your name mentioned on the show. Wow, that's the high point of Don's life. I know. Anyway, on that note, I think we will cool it for the cool it. I was watching Goulardi, some Goulardi clips before. We'll cool it with the boom booms here. We'll cool it with the show. We will mention that we will not be here live next week. We're taking next week off, so we'll be back in 2 weeks, probably on Wednesday. Keep an eye on all of the announcement sites. We'll let you know for sure when we'll be on. And on that note, Karen, anything else?
That's about it. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon.